Hello there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. It is another season 5 of the Purple Charm Experience, where I am your host, Charmyra E. Fleming, but you can call me M.A.I. Today, I have a wonderful show planned for you. I'm excited to be back. Of course, many of you who follow me on social media know that I have been working towards my doctorate degree in business administration. And so, of course, when you are under that much pressure to do a lot of work for that kind of higher educational goal, it takes a lot of time and effort, and you have to focus your energy and time on other things besides things like this. And so, with that, I have had to take some time away, but I plan to jump back into it this year because this is my final year. And I want to take you on a journey with me. I want to share with you my doctoral life in this final year and share my research along the way, as well as talk to some up and coming authors who are sharing their stories, will be sharing their stories with us. And I'm looking forward to it. I think you're going to enjoy this season. And I just have a lot of ideas about where I wanted to go. So I hope you hang in there with me. If you've missed me, I've missed you too. New books are coming. Just need more time to write them because, as you know, doctoral studies, the research and the writing takes a lot of time and effort. And so that's where my time and effort has been devoted. So the theme of this season is doc life, navigating romance, research, and real life. You will be getting micro episodes each week that shares with you a little bit about what it's like to go through the doctoral process and also bring forth meaningful research that is, you know, in a lot of respects, groundbreaking in an area where we typically do not do this type of research, as well as how I am able to balance it all and continue to speak to my passion of writing creatively and also inspiring others, like my son, who just dropped his first comic book last April. So I'll be sharing more about all of that over the course of the season, and I hope that you rock out with me as we do so. But without further ado, let's jump right into this episode. And if you know me, you know I always start off with a quote that I call my quote of the day. My meaning to motivate, aspire, inspire. And this week I pulled a quote by Ruby Bridges, and it states, "Don't follow the path. Go where there is no path and begin the trail. When you start a new trail equipped with courage, strength, and conviction, the only thing that can stop you is you." And I chose this quote because it's so meaningful and it is timely in terms of what I'm doing with my research and everything else that's going on in my life with the podcast, with my books, creatively. And I just want to make sure that I encapsulated that moment. And I hope that maybe whatever you may be doing in your life, that you find some inspiration in this quote today, because I just know that, you know, when we have our minds set on something that is real, that is important, that is good, you know, we are the only one that can stop us from getting to the next point, getting to the next step. And when you're focused, no one can stop you. When you are determined, no one can get in your way. And so I leave you with that in hopes that you bring forth whatever it is that you're trying to do, and go your own way, create your own path. When I decided to do the research that I'm doing, I knew going into the program what I wanted to research. And I refused to allow anyone to tell me that it was impossible for me to do it. And I am happy to say that I have stayed true to that. So, with that, that is our quote for today. Our sip of the week comes from Stone and Crawford, one of my favorite Urban View hosts, Shauna Renee, put out a coffee blend late last year, and it's called Stone and Crawford. And I tried it for the first time. I love it. If you want to check out my review of it, it's just a short review. I'll have it on YouTube. You could check it out. It'll be a quick little segment. Will not take up much of your time, but if you are like me, I love supporting Black businesses, Black owned businesses. When we think about Ujima, collective work and responsibility, it is, or Ujama, uh, um, cooperative economics. I think that's the one. If I'm not mistaken, it's Ujama. I know it's Ujama. Um, we it is important to support our own. And for me, it's just important to support diverse businesses. That means Black owned, Black and brown owned businesses. That means women owned businesses, veteran owned businesses. When I worked in supplier diversity, that was one of the key things that I enjoyed doing in my role as a supplier diversity professional, which is support the opportunities for those diverse businesses to be able to work with a large corporation where they typically wouldn't have the opportunity to. Excuse me. But with that being said, I plan on bringing some other Black owned sips to you. And this week, our sip of the week is, none other than Stone and Crawford, by Shauna Renee. And as we transition into the heart of the show, where we talk to a new indie author that's coming on the scene. His name is Jay Mason. I'm looking so forward to talking with him, and I hope that you do too. He is an amazing individual. He is a close friend of mine. He's actually part of my doctoral cohort at Hood College here in Frederick, Maryland. And I think that you will get some jewels and gems from our discussion today. And I look forward to hearing your take on what you think about him and his work. And he has a new children's book that he has just self-published. And shout out to Tari in Washington, who did the illustration for this book. He also did the illustration for my son's book here, um, from the Black Eye Galaxy. And I am super excited. So let's get ready to listen to the conversation that I am going to have with Mr. Jay Mason. What's up, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I told you that I have a really special guest with me today. It's one of my favorite people in this world. He's part of my doctoral cohort, excuse me. And he is also part of the little mini group that we have within our cohort called the Trinity. and his name is Jay Mason. He's going to be telling us about his new children's book, his doctoral experience, and I am just going to give you a brief introduction and bio into who he is, and then we will jump right into the discussion. Jay is now in his fourth year. He just successfully defended his proposal for his doctoral research. Congratulations
Thank
there.
you. Thank you.
He is in his fourth year as an educator, teaching fifth grade at Montgomery County Public Schools. Jay also maintains a career as an associate broker with Frederick Land Home. He's a member of the Shepherd University Board of Governors. Jay was the quarterback for Shepherd in 1991 through 1994 and started for 3 of his 4 years there. He's formerly elected member of the Frederick County Board of Education years 2018 through 2022 and served as VP and president while on the Board of Ed. Past nonprofit board work includes Habitat for Humanity, Boys and Girls Club, Student Homelessness Initiative Partnership, and Eliminating Achievement Gap. Jay holds a master's in arts and teaching degree and is certified in elementary and middle school math, grade 6. Jay is a doctoral candidate in the Hood College Doctor of Organizational Leadership program. In his spare time, he enjoys spending time with his family, coaching his sons' flag football teams, and playing golf. So, without further ado, welcome, Jay, to the Purple Charm Experience podcast. I am delighted to have you. We've been talking about this for a minute.
Yes, we have.
And now it is such an honor to have you here, especially now that you joined the ranks of being an indie author. I am so excited to hear about your journey. And so let's dive right into the conversation.
Yep.
What was it like to if you want to, you could talk about a little bit about your background and then tell us about what it was like to get into the process of writing your first children's book.
Well, before I do that, I just want to say thank you, Cohort Fam, for Trinity Fam, for having me on. And
Of course.
yes, we've been talking about this for a minute, so it's a pleasure to finally be on with you and be on with you as a fellow proposal defender
Yeah.
and a fellow indie author.
Yes.
Yes. So it's been a minute since I've been thinking about it and, you know, and inspired by my family and my big brother for a long time. And finally just had a chance last summer during a break from our classes just to get it written and get it on paper. And, you know, as they say, just write, just go, just write, you know, if you keep thinking about it, you'll just keep thinking about it. So
That's right.
gotta
That's
jump
right.
in and start doing it. So had some moment, had some time and just started writing.
And so tell us, what is the book about?
So it's inspired by my brother who had that story of, you know, having the opportunity to play at Division I football at the University of Virginia, and then had the opportunity to get drafted into the NFL.
Wow.
And in his third quarter of his first preseason game, he broke his ankle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, you know, that makes it into the book a little bit. And that was the end of his NFL career. So,
Wow.
you know, he had his education to fall back on, went back to school. And, you know, that's the inspiration for my book. And just to tell that story to our young Black and brown boys that the education is most important because your NFL or your professional career might not work out. You may never make it, or if you do make it, it could be short. So, you know, if you have that education to fall back on, then do it. You know, just make sure that you have it.
Right. You know, I love that you are using your brother's story as a foundation for telling, you know, how to have a life that has a purpose and intention. but also it speaks to a lot to the research, your doctoral research. And I want
Mhm.
to try to bring some of that in because I noticed that you're wearing one of the Kwanzaa principles, Kujichagulia, which is self-determination.
Which is
And
our Kwanzaa principle for the day.
yeah, and yeah, we are, and how timely is that we're
Yeah.
talking on Kujichagulia Day. And so I want you to talk to our audience a little bit about how you tie the creative process of bringing the book to life with tying in your doctoral research, which is heavily influenced by Kujichagulia and self-determination. Talk a little bit about how those two things marry and how bringing the creative process along with that doctoral research together so that you could tell a more holistic story that people can grab onto.
Well, one, I think going back to one of our earlier classes when our teacher just said to just write,
Mm-hmm.
so I got that writing bug. I've always had it.
Yeah.
Never really went through with it. I've written some poems, written some short poems,
Yeah.
and just getting that writing bug through class. Finally, just I called my brother one day. I said, "Hey, since you're not going to tell your story," and I've asked him several times, and he said, "No, not going to do it. If you're not going to tell your story, can I tell your story?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Sure, go for it." And from there, it blossomed. Had the thoughts in my head, the stories there. Don't have to make up a whole lot
Right.
because of how we've been raised as a family, how we interact as a family, and just living life through my brother of being such a great athlete. And there's more to us than being athletes.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
are black males. We are educated, and then the title of my book, the CEO, also comes from my brother because he runs a very successful company. So just trying to tell that story, tie it into writing,
Mm-hmm.
um, and have it focused in a children's book for right now. So we tell that story to our kids that there's more to life than sports
Right.
because at some time it will come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I tie that into my research because of my athletic background and, didn't go D1, although I wanted to. They said I was too short. So I had to go a different route and play D2 football. And
Oh
that's
wow.
also tied into my research. Um, and as a D2 athlete, the possibilities of going pro are minimized.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are you going to college for? To play sports, obviously, because we love playing sports, and then two, get our education and graduate. So tying all of that into the book and just the story of my brother, the story of myself, and just trying to show that athletics is important to us, but more importantly, we have to have the education to back it
Mm-hmm.
up once our
Mm-hmm.
career ends, whether it's by your own choice or by some unfortunate circumstance. Um, you have to have that education to back it up. And, I didn't graduate on time.
Mm-hmm.
So I started in 91, didn't get my undergrad degree until 2008. So it took me 17 years. Um, which also ties into my research kind of crazily or my doctoral program because now I'm getting my doctorate 17 years after I got my second degree. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so just trying to tie the importance of the education piece into who we are as
Right.
black males and as athletes. Just it's so important to be educated and use it, and it's easy for me to write about.
Right. 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 Um, you know, this the theme that I've chosen for this season is doc life. And for me is navigating romance, which is my romance novels, research in real life. You know, with the first three episodes, I talked about some of the discipline that it takes to balance it all. Some of the challenges of making the decision of doing what you want to do versus what you want to do now versus what you basically are aspiring to, what you've been working towards. And I love the fact that you have, tied your research into this book. I, I admire you for the discipline that you have had over your 17 years or educational background, trying to get back to this point so that you are driving towards the goals that you are trying to achieve. And I think, some people may believe that, if they haven't done X, Y, Z by a certain point in time, that it can't be done, or they can't go back to school. And, you know, I consider myself a lifelong learner. I'm always in school. If I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be doing something else. I was taking a break. But but I feel like, I am in good company because you inspire me, to keep pushing, that we all have stories to tell, and that just because it takes us a little bit more time to get to, that next step, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that it's unattainable, that you cannot get there. But it does take the discipline and the consistency to make sure you get there.
Right.
And so talk about, what it's been like for you to show up consistently to put forth the creative energy that you need to bring this book to life. Finally, after having it as an idea for so long, and now bringing it to fruition so that others can enjoy it. Talk about what it took to have the discipline and the consistency to show up for yourself so you can show out with this book.
Sure. Well, that's where this Kujichagulia self-determination piece comes
Mm-hmm.
in. And starting off my doctoral program 3 years ago, I was on a different subject. I wanted to talk about African American curriculum in our K through 12 education.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that had to get sidetracked a little bit. So I landed on this doctoral topic because, I had to pivot, I had to change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And wanting to tell my story, wanting to create for myself, name for myself, and just define myself. And I define myself through athletics a lot, as many of
Mm-hmm.
us do as athletes. So that's how I came about my research, and then the journey that I've been on throughout my life. Not just the 17 years from in between starting college and graduating college. Well, before that, when I was a youth, playing sports in high school and um, having family things that we went through.
Yeah.
So I've always had that self determination, always had
Mm-hmm.
drive. Just took a lot to bring it out.
Yeah.
And, this book is one way that I've been able to bring it out. This doctoral journey, which is so hard, challenging, trying to keep all those balls like in the air.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
It's so hard to
Juggle.
juggle it sometimes. Oh my goodness. and and then just I'm thinking about the next steps and what
Yeah.
are the next steps. And this book is one way to get started now, and it's part of my research.
Yeah.
So it's not something I really have to create brand new.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
It was sort of easy. Just had to get it down on paper, and I think it's one of those things we figure out about ourselves
Mm-hmm.
is what drives us, what motivates us, how do we keep going? And once we find who we are as
Mm-hmm.
people, as a person, then it comes out. And I thought one way to bring it out was to write about it in a book. Hopefully first of many. We're just getting started working
Yeah.
on book 2 right now. This is going to be a series of 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is the formative years, those young adolescent years.
Yeah.
The next one we go into high school,
School.
possibly college. I'm still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit over halfway through. So just who we are is that self-determination is what is driving me to get my doctoral program done, take care of my family, be a good husband, be a good father, challenging, and get this dissertation done, get my book written, still teach my classes at work. So it's a lot. And having the motivation just to keep driving forward, I think is part of that athleticism that comes out, because there's always challenges, there's always different plays. I was a quarterback, so you go up to the line with a play in mind, and the defense shifts, and then you got to audible, you got to switch, got to change, you got to put your offense in a good position to get positive yards. So I just want to keep moving, keep writing, get my dissertation done, and just tell the story, tell my story, tell my brother's story, since he's not going to do it.
Right. Well, I want to spend a brief moment on an area of the dissertation process that I don't think gets enough shine, or at least people don't talk about it enough. And I know you and I have had to experience this quite a bit because of the types of research that you and I are both doing. But can you at least share with the audience what it's like to, because you talked about you had started down a completely different path in terms of your research, what it's like to have your mindset on a particular subject matter and the process of having to pivot and, to something completely different, or at least changing your thoughts around the research. Because I know for myself, over the last 6 to 8 months, I've had to let go of a lot of what I thought my initial research was going to be so that it could get to the point where I could defend. And even now to get to the point where we actually do the research. Talk about what it's been like going through the process of realizing that you have to let go of certain feelings of what you had come in the door with, so that you can grow in your research,
Right.
grow in the knowledge of being able to share new literature, new knowledge with people, and actually grow as a scholar. Because it's not one of those things where you start at the beginning. You're not going to be the same person that you started with as. And so talk about what that journey has been like, and how the creative writing also has helped in the way of being able to tell your story without influencing, your positionality in terms of being able to bring that into your research too.
So focused as an educator, so focused on, how we teach and what we teach. And coming into the program, I was extremely focused. I was focused on our curriculum that we teach in schools and having it well-rounded for all students, and having an emphasis on our Black African-American history in our curriculum. So, I was, for the first year and a half, I was doing all of my work, all of my research on curriculum, what's in our curriculum and how we can change it. New York is at the forefront of changing their whole K through 12 curriculum. At Montgomery County Public Schools, we've done a good work in our social studies curriculum, but it needs to be in all of our subjects, not just social studies. So, just looking at New York as an example, and I was just so focused, extremely focused. And then, I was told that I would have to use children in my research, and our research specialist said, you don't have enough time to do that. You're not going to be able to get permission. So you might want to change. And, as you mentioned, positionality, I had it in the back of my head. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. But, Black male athletes, it's still in the realm of Black African-American history.
Right.
And then, we see on TV, Division I all the time. We hear about the pros. We hear about all these great athletes, but we don't hear enough about our D2 and D3 Black male athletes. And so then I started looking at our graduation rates, and particularly football and basketball. And the graduation rates, our Black male athletes was in the low 40s, 42% for Division II, 41% for Division III. And then the new data just came out in November, and Division II dropped to 36%. So we're not graduating a lot of our Black belt athletes. The NCAA has changed some of their parameters. The academic success rate is what they call it, progressing towards graduation. The numbers look great, but if you break it down, we don't have enough still graduating. So I'm focusing on Black male athletes that have graduated and what they're doing, what's their IA, their initiative, their versatility, their dynamism to get through their journey. And I use my my life, my journey as a focus for my research and trying to get to other stories out there. So it was sort of an easy pivot for me. Yeah. But when I started writing, I had to let go of some of that writing, which was difficult, like you just mentioned. Had to narrow down, had to focus and not want to solve all the problems right now. But still my main focus is
we're superheroes. We're superheroes. We want to start to save the world.
Trying to be.
So, Pinky, we want to save the world.
Yep. So, I'm still focusing on, the graduation rate, and I think we can do better. I think the NCAA can do better, but I think our focus once we get into college has to be graduating. Right. And things happen, just like with me, things happen, and I understand that. So we still have to have that focus. Go back and get your degree if that's what needs to happen, or get it while you're there. So I want to focus on graduating and having our Black males graduate at a higher rate.
Right. And so, taking it back to the book, when you began writing, what were some of the feelings that bubbled up for you, and what did it make you feel like to face some of the feelings that you've had in terms of, it's positive, it's a positive story, but, the feeling of, it's not even pressure, just knowing that you're telling a story that is not only your brother, but, many people wouldn't know who he is or his story, but you're introducing the world to an athlete that was a pro athlete. He was a star player as well, just like you. And, you've given light to some of our unsung heroes that, deserve, to be acknowledged as well. What type of feelings did you have, not only as a little brother telling your big brother's story, but also, just telling a story of someone that will be new to your audience, to the reading audience.
I was just proud. Yeah. I'm very proud of my family, very proud of my brother. He's a huge role model. It's been amazing to see his journey, his successes, and be able to share those with him. Yeah. So that's why I asked him, several years ago, when you gonna write your book? Right. And he ended up in, I guess I call him his business partner now, the guy that hired him in 1991, Ed Brown. Ed Brown eventually wrote a book, and my brother's in it. Okay. So then when I read that, I was like, hey, when you gonna write your book? He's like, never. Never. So it's a great feeling to be able to have that perspective, and I sort of tell it from the perspective of the little brother, but also the perspective of what my brother's been through. Okay. Not so much his perspective, but what I see as a family member, what I've seen as a family member. And, the family piece that I do touch on in there, family's so important. We have our struggles.
Yeah.
We have our moments. And then at the end of the day, we come together, we break bread, and we're family. And
That's right.
it's awesome to be able to be part of such an amazing family, and just telling our story. We've done our research on our family. There's a lot more to tell about our family history, and this is just one small part of it. Side note, my daughter just made a family tree for my sister for Christmas, and it's so big. It's a tree. I'll have to show it to you. But it was an amazing thing, and I helped her put it together. And maybe I can show it to you on my phone. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Well, those are they're not all.
Oh
but
my gosh.
That is a lot of my family. Each little leaf has a
It
family
member. That's
and it goes
awesome.
back to 1780, 17 something.
Wow.
So she went from 5 generations ago up until now.
Wow, Jay.
With my mom's side and my dad's side. Some of my dad's side, not all of my dad's side. So, trying to tell that story.
That's incredible.
It's amazing. I'll have to show it to you. She made it for my sister.
Yeah, I want to see that. I mean,
so writing about it, how do we get our stories out? Is just write about it. There's people out there hopefully waiting to hear about it, because it's an amazing story, and my brother is an amazing story. So I just wanted to write my first book about him.
Do you think you ever do one about yourself? Because you have an incredible story too, Jay.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I think after I finish this series,
I foresee lots of literature coming from you in the coming years. I think we're kindred spirits because we're both writers.
Yes. Yep.
And I know after I think you was one of the first people that I talked to. You probably was the first person I talked to on orientation day, because I remember we was sitting down in the little quad area in Whitaker, and there was a guy that was sitting in the little area where we were sitting, and he was part of the master's program. And but you came over and you just started talking to both of us, and I was like, okay, this dude is kind of cool. But I know. And then when you found out that,
Can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
I heard master's program.
Oh, I said that the guy that was sitting in the quad with us was in the master's program, and you came over and started talking to both of us, and I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And then, and we hit it off from there.
Of course, easily. My feedback from my proposal defense was, how are you going to not be such a conversationalist when you're interviewing people? Whew.
That's hard. It's hard.
I got to sit back and listen.
It's probably a good thing that I don't have to do that, because I'm the same. I'm the same way.
Got to be an observer and a note taker.
What is it? Ethnographer.
Ethnographer. Yep. That's what it is. Yeah. So, it's going to be hard. Just telling the story of other athletes.
Yeah.
I have a chair member, Dr. Cherry. Grew up in Montgomery County. Shepherd, played football together, and now he's an internationally famous doctor. He's supposed to have a committee meeting, and he's like, I'm out of the country traveling. So, wow. Yeah, so there's stories out there.
Yeah.
From our D2 athletes are just doing some amazing things. Some of the guys that I played with, and that's where my research comes from, and that's the story that I want to tell, because they're not on TV. They're not D1 athletes. They're not pros. They haven't been on TV. Right. But there's a story behind each of us, and how did we get to where we are today?
let me ask you, what did you love most about uh, the writing process? You know, how did you prepare? Because I know a lot of, like, for me, I do character development. You have to build a world. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of this is from a real life, real world, you know, situations, real life experiences inspiring your book. So what did you love the most about, you know, the whole process of writing the book? And, um, you know, how did that fuel you to get it to the finish line?
I think I don't know if I like it the most, but what I learned the most is because it's a children's book and you can't tell the full story.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think I liked reducing, condensing all those words into
Short
um,
little
short little paragraphs.
paragraphs.
You know, I you I had to go back and just change words because I used the word
Too
set a
big.
lot.
Too
Yeah,
big.
too big, and I had to go back and find different words that I could use, so it's not just repeating the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Trying to tell a complete full story in one sentence
Right.
because you can't fill every page because it's a children's book. You can't fill
Right.
every page with a lot of text.
Right.
There are some pages with text. Also, it's a conversation
Mm-hmm.
between family members trying
Mm-hmm.
to figure out how to tell that story without every page being a conversation.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and we sort of accomplished that. I'm working on it more in book two,
Too.
so
And there's a
it's
lot that you learn between that first book and that second book. You know, were there any children's authors that helped inspire, you know, help guide you that you use as like your, you know, sort of like your model for how to do it? Because, you know, when I started my self-published, I did the self-publishing formula 101. That gave me the framework for everything that I have done. And but I, you know, the romance authors that I love, you know, Zane, and, you know, like the really popular ones.
mhm.
um but I don't read a lot of romance anymore. You know, I more or less love more thrillers and mysteries, if I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
But did you have any authors that you kind of use as your guide through the process too?
I can't say the authors, but I can tell you the books that I've read to my classes.
Mm-hmm.
Let the Children March,
Okay.
which is about the Children's March with Dr. King.
Mm-hmm.
Rose Ketanji Brown Jackson, book that I've read.
Mm-hmm.
Thurgood Marshall is a children's book that I've read to my class.
Mm-hmm.
And forgetting John Lewis,
Okay.
Congressman Lewis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, those books really inspired me to want to write a children's book.
Right.
They're all written by different authors, but they tell such an amazing story. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there's some filler in there.
Mm-hmm.
When I read them to my class, I had to fill in some of the details because, as I said a few minutes ago, you can't put all the details in a children's book,
Right.
but it's a good starter. And I use my book,
Mm-hmm.
some of the imagery that
Mm-hmm.
comes out from our friend Torian.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, there's some moments in there where you can talk about the dynamic of a family and the message that I've tried to put in my book.
Yeah.
So no particular authors, but just some amazing
So.
children's books that I've read to my class that have
Mm-hmm.
really inspired me to want to write a children's book. And back to me, I do have my chapters written down in my notes. So I just got to put some more words once I get this trilogy of this children's book out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've had some inspiration from great books.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I also wanted to, you know, as we start winding down, a few more questions. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the self-publishing process because, you know, a lot of people, when you probably have already started experiencing this. As soon as you say you wrote a book, you know, if you're talking to someone, if they haven't read one, they're going to say, "Oh, I want to write a book too."
Yeah.
And and always always, it's writing a book. I take it serious. I really do take writing seriously. It is truly my passion. I really feel like this is what God put me on this earth to do. I may not be the best at grammar. I definitely was not the best student in English. Reading and comprehension was probably my struggle points growing up.
Sure.
But
Yep.
I've always enjoyed writing. I still journal. I still have multiple books. As you, this is my big one right here that it has everything in it, like all of my ideas, and I'm constantly carrying around little books and stuff. But I think when people hear that you are an author, a self-published author, they don't really understand or know the depth of what it takes to bring a book to life yourself. The marketing, the financial piece that you have to invest in yourself to in your craft, number one, as well as in bringing it together, because you have to, if you don't do graphics on your own, you have to pay someone to do the graphic designing for your covers. And one of the key things that I learned about having a book that sells is having a cover that attracts readers. Also going through that process of uploading it to the different platforms so that it can sell. Talk about what that was like, and how you are strategizing the future of not only this book, but your books that will come after this.
Well, as you mentioned there, the imagery, what's in my head, what I wrote down in my manuscript, doesn't always translate. So finding, and I appreciate Tori, and I think he did an amazing job. But capturing everything that's in my head in those images, it's hard for the artist to do that. So,
Right.
I told him to use some of his art, which I think is great. And I think it's another part of the story that you can tell in this book. But that piece of providing those images, because I can't just write words in a children's book.
That's a strong part. The images is a strong character to the story.
Yep. So I learned a lot through that process. Hopefully we'll improve in book 2. And then, just having the pieces all together, editing it. My daughter read it, my wife read it. You got to fix this, you got to fix that. And I thought it was ready to go. But nothing that I wasn't willing or ready to change. So it just.
Did that remind you of your doctoral process?
A little bit. Oh, this is perfect. Oh no, it's not. So, I love writing, but as you mentioned, it's hard to have it all well written, every single sentence and page.
Right.
So you just have to be open to critique and change, ready to change, and just putting out a good product. It was hard the first time, and then the uploading process. Oh my goodness. Because I had images from Torian and he'd shared them with me, and then I uploaded it and it didn't fit. And he's like, "Oh, you got to fix the margins." I'm like, "Oh, man,
it's so different, and each platform has their own set of rules on how it. And Amazon is the worst.
Oh my gosh! And that's
Amazon
where I started.
is a nightmare.
That's where I started, and then I went to Ingram Spark, and that was different. And they kept giving me feedback, and I was like, "Well, what am I doing wrong? Like, why can't I just upload?" And so I had to change a few things with Ingram Spark. And then I was getting messages back that I didn't understand. So I'm like, "Torian, what does this mean?" He's like,
I don't know.
I've never seen that before. And then one of the messages he knew was like, "No, just go and click past that. It's no big deal." So there's a lot to learn through that self-publishing process. Hopefully I'll it'll be quicker the next time.
Oh yeah, it gets easier.
It gets easier.
It definitely gets easier, but it is
To,
a painful learning curve to go through.
and
It can be a painful process to go through
I
that
still don't have
first
my
time.
book. I still don't have my book. I ordered a draft from Amazon, and they got the big thing across it that
Yeah,
it's a proof.
sample. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then I
Not
ordered
for
my,
sale, sample.
yeah. Like, so I ordered my book, and it's like, well, it'll be there June or January 21st. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, it'll be there January 20th. So we have good news. I'm like, yeah, but it's still a month away.
month away. Yeah,
Like,
it
I
takes a
could
while. So,
I could go on and order the book through Amazon and get it by January 2nd,
mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
I didn't want to do that,
yeah,
so I wanted to order multiple copies, which I
yeah.
did. So I'm
Well, you
still,
could do multiple copies on Amazon. You could do your author copies on Amazon.
I did, but I'm
Oh,
still waiting. I'm
oh,
still waiting. Don't, I
that's,
didn't want to wait.
yeah.
I'm ready to start marketing and promoting, but I
Yeah,
don't have anything in my hand
yeah,
that I can market and promote. So, right now I'm just being patient.
yeah, yeah.
And then I finally got uploaded to Ingram Spark, and I did order some copies from them, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still 8 business days. So I think they're both going to arrive around the same
The
time.
same time. And that's the thing, is having that lead time, particularly when you have events and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
that you're gonna prepare for, is ordering those books ahead of time so that you
Right.
have them ready. But I'm super proud of you for going
Thank
through
you.
the process, because I know what it's like, and I didn't have anybody that I could turn to, you know, throughout my process. It still don't. I literally have done everything that I've done, everything that you see for Creative Cafe on my own. So kudos to you, because I know you're doing it by yourself too.
Yep.
And I just want people to understand that, particularly for African American indie authors, how challenging it can be for us to bring our books to life. One, and two, getting people to see the value in our books. And I had some challenges in even getting them, getting my books, which I still haven't been able to get into any of the local bookstores around
Okay.
here. But I just know that, you know, it's important that we support one another. And that is why I'm so supportive of other Black creatives, Black authors, it's particularly indie authors who are just getting started, because, you know, the information is out there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
collecting it all and bringing it together so that, you know, we know what we need to do. And it's not all in one place. And anything that, you always, if ever need anything, you always ask and whatnot. But I just want, you know, it's different when it comes from somebody else besides me, because I've been talking about my journey since 2018, 2019.
Okay.
But it's nice to hear, the journeys of other authors, other indie authors, no matter if they're at the beginning or if they've been at this thing for a minute. And I've had some well-established authors come on the podcast and talk about their journeys, and they've experienced a lot of the things that we've experienced too,
Yeah.
and they are experienced authors. And so I just appreciate you for sharing your experience with it.
Thank you. Appreciate you letting me share my
Oh,
experience.
for sure, for sure. Now, as we close down and wrap up, we get to my favorite part of the podcast, which is where I get to talk about my favorite musician. And everybody knows this, but I love Prince, and so as we close, I just wanted to get your take on. I know that I'm a fan. I love him. And I remember we was talking before this. You was like, I like him. You love him.
You're right.
So
I know. There's a love for Prince, but you love Prince.
Yeah, I do. But I just wanted to, end the podcast. I have my favorite songs that I love to listen to. talk about, what you love about Prince, and if there's any favorite songs that, that you remember as your earliest memory, or what you like to vibe out to when you listen to his music. Um, or what it was like when you first heard a particular song that you love from him. Like, just talk about your love for the icon named Prince.
The most amazing thing about that man is he was so little,
Yes.
and women just loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
loved him. He get that high pitch going on and get that guitar going on, and that man was just amazing. Such
Yes.
an amazing musician. Obviously, Purple Rain.
Yep.
Can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Cream, probably one of my favorite songs.
Do you know that was about him?
No.
Yes, it was about him. It was in the mirror when he came up with that song. He
Oh
was
goodness.
talking about himself.
Right? Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss.
Yep.
Goodness. He had so many amazing songs. His movies, Under the Cherry Moon,
Yes.
which I
One of
have to
my
go back,
favorites.
and watch again because I saw it in the movie theater when it came out.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, teenager. Going to a
One of my
movie.
favorite songs from that movie is from the Parade album is Mountains. And I think I have the album up here somewhere, but it is like one of my favorites because that's the hits. You got the hits.
Just got it for Christmas. Little red Corvette.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Delirious. Delirious.
I get delirious. Do you remember that it was in the movie Delirious at the beginning?
No.
It's at the beginning of that movie Delirious. Mm-hmm.
Is that Eddie Murphy? Delirious?
This, it
Welcome.
is the movie, I want to say, with, is it John Candy? Is it Delirious? I think it's I know it's in the movie with John Candy.
Oh, he had a lot of good movies too.
But
Not Uncle Buck. Uh,
no, it's not Uncle
no.
Buck. Let's see. It was in the movie.
Can't think of it.
Dang, what movie is? I know it's in the movie with John Candy, if I'm not mistaken. I remember it's in the beginning credits. It's in the opening credits. I get delirious. It sure is. It really and I'm telling you, it's so many movies. Did you see Stranger Things? Put
I
two of the
did.
songs in the show. I was really happy, but I was like, why they choose Dove's Cry? It was
No.
that was the wrong song to put right there. Purple Rain I was okay with where it
Right.
was. That fit. But I felt like they should have chose a different song from, I don't even know if they should have chose it from the Purple Rain album. I Would Die for You could have went right there.
Right.
Either right there or where they put Purple Rain. But I was just like, I would have chose a different one. I think a different one should have been.
They should have called you up. They should have called you up. So I got to tell you a story.
Go ahead.
Since Prince, I have another brother. He's the prankster of the family, the jokester. So he's in San Diego with one of his buddies, and they end up going to a club at like midnight, and walk past the line and walk in, and he said that Prince got up on stage about 12:30, unannounced. And this is where I gotta cut him off, and he says it's true, but he's danced with Halle Berry. I'm like, oh, you
You like, nah, that can't be
up and
true.
down, up and down. That man says Dance with Halle Berry with Prince on stage.
I mean, it's plausible because Prince did do a lot of late night shows out in LA.
Yep,
Like it's
But,
pretty
he's my brother.
plausible.
I don't think you're gonna lie to me.
But Prince was also and the Prince was also a prankster too. If you watch a lot of his interviews with Jay Leno, he used to get Jay Leno all the time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Right.
Hilarious. I have to send you some of the clips, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, please do.
Well, I am so delighted that we had this opportunity to chat today. This has been a wonderful conversation. And you have to come back when book 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 come on down the line. I would love to have you back.
We'll keep talking.
Yeah, this has been amazing.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Yeah. So I am going to call it a wrap. Thank you guys for watching. We look forward to having Jay back in the future when he finishes his doctoral program, so he could tell us about that, as well as the next book that's coming up, because he is in process. It's a work in progress. And so I invite you to check us out next week for the next episode of the Purple Charm Experience podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and we wish you well. Peace.
Peace.